welcome back to my channel, sports fans. Okay, let's get into this one right here. Well, folks, I just happened to see come through my feed on YouTube, Dreamers Pro, ESPN informant, ESPN employee. And you guys know I don't watch this channel. I can't do it, folks. I can't listen to a guy that, works for ESPN, Disney, and Fox. And this guy has never, ever proved me wrong. 95% of his videos is about what ESPN and Fox says on their shows. So you people have no reason to even watch those shows. They can just listen to Dreamers Pro because he is employed by them. Good for him. He has 200 subs, just sitting at a desk talking, folks. He doesn't put up any, any videos per se. He doesn't put up any stats on screen per se. He doesn't do none of that stuff, but sit at a desk like ESPN workers, Fox workers, and he talks. I'm not trying to say his content isn't good. I've never said that. I don't listen to Johnny Arnett, because he works for Clutch. I never said his information isn't good and things like that. But it is what it is, folks. But I really don't watch his videos, and he could care less if I watch him anyways. He'll still get his bot subs courtesy of ESPN and Fox or whatever like that. So I had to click on what he said and what his video said when it came up on my feed, and it was about all this stuff is, before I tell you this, is all trigger stuff. All of it's just trigger stuff. So you go, because what he says on his show about ESPN, Fox, it's just all trigger stuff. So you go see and watch Fox and ESPN on their channels, and they'll get views. So that's how he, works for them and stuff like that. As far as what he talked about was Carmelo Anthony, I said, well, let me click on this because I don't, like I said, I don't look for his videos. I don't watch them, but I had to see this, right? Sitting here, going through some different stuff on YouTube, and that popped up, and the title says something about Carmelo Anthony, something about he disrespects, whatever he said. I can't even remember. That's how much I care about his videos. But ultimately, Carmelo Anthony disrespected international players by saying, international players, international, viewers, by saying there has to be an American face of the league. And although it's disrespectful, let's be real, folks. Not only has LeBron James ran down the NBA to what it is today, we got to think about not hating on these international players because they're playing better than American players. There's no doubt about that, folks. But when we look at baseball and see what happened with baseball and then pretty much kicking all the American players out, especially the black players, and I had I don't know if he was a sub, but I had somebody tell me, what do you mean they kicked all the American players out? That sounds racist. Oh, well, when I say kicked them out, I don't mean they just said you got to leave baseball. No, they stopped drafting them. That's all they started doing to get the international players for cheaper in the Caribbean leagues that they started in the Caribbean leagues. Major League started these Spanish Caribbean leagues and start paying them less than what you would pay a triple A, double A farm team American player. So you would, for American farm team player, you probably pay him about $1 million. I don't know what it is, but I know back in the day it was like $1 million, maybe $2 million. So they said, let me weed them out. We'll start a Caribbean farm team and pay these guys maybe like, 50,000, 10,000, 500,000. That's a lot of money to them where they come from in third world countries, folks. So it's just a matter of, if I pay them less, if they pan out, we can bring them up to the major leagues. First, paying an American player to see if they pan out and bring them up to the major leagues. So it's just like that in the economy, period. They bring in cheaper people, not because they're better workers. If they're better workers, then pay them what you will pay Americans. You won't. They're not better workers. They're just cheaper workers, folks. So, like I said, LeBron James ruined the NBA. But also, when we talk about baseball, like I was just saying, we saw what they did. Torrey Hunter said something about this 10, 15 years ago, and he pretty much almost got exiled out of baseball because he said they exiled all the black players out of the major leagues. And what I'm trying to say is, it's not about hitting the ball, throwing the ball, catching the ball. You got to have some type of soap opera. If you don't have a soap opera in your league, nobody cares if you can hit, throw, catch, whatever. It has to be like a soap opera. So when we used to look at baseball, I'm using this as an example for a transition into the NBA. So when we used to look at baseball, what did we have? We had the soap opera, right? With the black players. We had, Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden getting in trouble with strippers and hotels doing cocaine, the Barry Bonds steroid thing, Kirby Puckett being defiant, Ken Griffey. We're not trying to say guys got to get in trouble, but we kind of like, Ken Griffey Jr., he brought the drama. He was a great player. When we talk about Deion Sanders, able to play 2 sports in one day, The type of swag that Deion Sanders have. How about Bo Jackson playing the same thing? Baseball and football. The type of swag. This type of swag sells on commercials. Can sell, Nike commercials, McDonald's commercials, Hanes commercials. And we look at all these black players back in baseball that was able to push the game through advertisement. Your Joe Carters, you win. Who is this? Dave Justice, Andre Dawson's, Bobby Bonilla's. These type of Dave Winfields. These type of guys were advertised and stuff like that. So you got these guys now in baseball. They can't even speak English. So how can they advertise the game? How can they push the game? And that's where baseball has went, right? You don't have an American face. You don't have that drama. You don't have that soap opera. So the game, pretty much, baseball died out. Nobody ever thought baseball would get to where it's at now or where it went to. And it's because you put all the American players out. So what I'm trying to say, when we relate that to the NBA, we're going to always have black players in there, but they're not American faces. They can't relate to, America. They can't relate to American children. They live a certain way back in Canada, Serbia, Greece, all these different Africa. Where these guys come from? Are they great players? I guess. I don't think they're that great players. To me, I just think the NBA molded and changed the game to fit these guys in here. Not that they could never be in the NBA, but as them being great as they are. And how did they do that? They changed the game to take out the defensive rules. They made it a 3-point shooting game and a soft game. So to me, these players could never play in the 90s. They couldn't play in the 80s. It'd be too tough for them. So I'm going to defend them in a minute. But what I'm trying to say is, the NBA, I've already been saying this, the NBA knows that they have to have an American face just to keep this thing going. Okay? Like I said before, if you go over to a soccer league, say like in Brazil, I don't know what the soccer league is in Brazil, and you stick a whole bunch of American faces in there, maybe like, I don't know, 6 of the best players are Americans. Come straight from the United States, and you stick them in that Brazilian soccer league and put them as a face of the league. And you put a whole bunch of Americans in there, or just say Americans, Canadians, wherever they speak English at, maybe Australia, and you're just, drowning that Brazilian league with a whole bunch of English speaking people. And then the majority of the guys on top speak English. What do you think is going to happen to that Brazilian soccer league? You think those Brazilian people are going to watch that? They're not. They're just not. They don't comprehend them. They're not part of their culture, is what I'm trying to say. It's nothing against them. That's just how it is, folks. And that's what they're trying to cram down into the NBA, is all these international players. And if you're going to do that, well, the people from these other countries better support it, because we already know Americans are walking away from this. It's not just because of LeBron James. A lot of it's because of LeBron James, but we don't recognize American faces. Like the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like the Moses Malone, like the Magic Johnsons, the Charles Barkleys, the Jordans, all these type of faces who was Americans. And again, they done took American NBA style of play out of the NBA and made it a Euro style of basketball. That's where that style came from. All these guys on the perimeter shooting all these threes. Don't think it just came from Steph Curry. This came from them folks. So in defense of this whole thing with the international players, to me, they have every right for the NBA to have an international face. If 4 or 5 of your top, Joel Embiid, he messed up this year, but you can even include Joel Embiid when he's on top of his game. So we can say 5 of the top best players in the league are international players. And Joker is basically the best player in the league. He's about to win his 4th MVP, maybe. He done won 3. He's the best player in the NBA. There's no reason that the NBA shouldn't have his face as a face of the league. There's no reason. There's no reason. When All-Star game comes, they don't want to advertise Joker. That's sad, folks. This is the most ridiculous thing you ever heard of. And the All-Star weekend advertisement, I don't know what you want to call it, but when they got all the great players on the front of it, guess who they didn't have? They didn't have Joker. Now you have Anthony Edwards and LeBron James and Curry and all these different dudes, but you didn't even have Joker. This is embarrassing for the NBA folks. This is embarrassing, but they know what I know. And I've been saying this. The only reason why LeBron James is even around is because they know when he leaves, there's nothing left. The NBA is done. It's already cooked because of this guy. But for better or worse, he continues to be the face. He continues to be the talk because they know, You need a soap opera, yes, but you don't need your league being 95% soap opera. You need your league maybe being, oof. To me, the 90s maybe was in the 80s. The 80s had a pretty good soap opera, but it might have been like 30%. Okay. Maybe the 90s was maybe about 30% soap opera, and the rest on court play, right? Of greatness. You can't have a league being 95% soap opera. And this is what it is. When we talk about Carmelo Anthony saying these things, these are just things that's pushing the NBA. Like I said, if it wasn't for social media, the NBA would be done. Nobody cares about LeBron James. We told you his first finals appearance in 2007 was the lowest rating finals of all time, folks. This is supposed to be the king. The guy with the most expectations, the next this, the next that. He finally got to the damn finals. But everybody knew it was a fluke. Everybody knew back then it was trash. This guy had only been in the playoffs one time before 2007. They saw his competition that he was going through to get to the finals was trash. It was the weakest East since the 1950s when he came in there, and it just got weaker as he got to the finals. So there it was, folks. There it was. LeBron James, the big fundamental. I think he was going for what? I think he was going for his fourth, if I'm not mistaken, his fourth championship. In 2007, Tim Duncan was. But the fact is, they already saw what LeBron James was. He missed his first two seasons missed his first two seasons of the playoffs. 04 and 05, he missed the playoffs. That season in 04, he got stomped out by international plumbers in the Olympics. 06 got stomped out by international plumbers in the FIBA. I mean, what are we talking about, folks? So everybody knew back then that nobody wanted to see this guy play in the finals. So they had to basically push this guy on everybody, and they keep doing this stuff. And all the fans have left, and they have no other choice but to keep pushing this guy, because I don't think Curry wants to be the face of the league. I never thought Curry wanted to be the face of the league. The rant's not too exciting. I don't even think LeBron James is exciting. He's boring as hell. I mean, nobody wants to see your personality and cares about your personality if you keep losing, if you have no overall game skills, right? What's his skill set on offense? He got low post moves. Does he dominate the paint? No. I'm talking about career. A lot of people don't tell me what he's doing this year, what he did. Dude, his career was over. This is your prime. These are your prime years to win. And I guess it could get extended to about 2020. That's when his career was over. But in his prime, he failed. He built super teams. He left his teams. He did all this stuff. It was over. So offensively, he has no skill set. As a big man in the paint, he's not a good defender. He can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot the mid-range. Can't shoot threes. What is it, folks? What is it? They can never tell you, except for he wants to be the face of the league. The only thing that keeps him the face of the league is because he wants to be the face of the league. Just like he always wanted to be better than Kobe, better than Jordan, or, up there with the greats. He never got there. So they basically said, we know you ain't never getting there. You never got there in your prime, and your career is over, but we'll still keep you the face because that's what you want to do. Curry don't want that, man. Durant is boring. But like I said, LeBron is boring too. Who the hell wants to hear him talk? He's not interesting, and he's a failure. We only want to hear the greats talk. We want to hear the greats talk. We don't want to hear him talk. He's not one of the greats. He didn't do it like none of the greats. He didn't win a championship without a super team. Joker did that. Giannis did that. So Carmelo Anthony is right in a sense. You do need a face of an American sport to keep it going. The problem is you don't have one. You don't have one. LeBron James has always been there to supply the soap opera, right? He's been able to, be considered a great based on what? Stat padding, getting stats. All-time greats didn't become great by stat padding. If you're gonna stat pad too, you better lead the league in scoring, assists, rebounds, steals, and you better do it at a high level to where you got all these statistical titles, and then we could say, well, okay, the guy's not stat padded, but 2 statistical titles in 22 years ain't gonna cut it, folks. This guy stays out stat padding and blowouts, whether he's winning or losing. So the NBA is basically over, folks. It's over. And the only thing that's keeping this thing alive is what? Social media. Social media. That's all that can bring you every night. It's shenanigans. Most of these people work for the NBA. I'm trying to tell you. A lot of these players that now have YouTube channels, platforms, they're here to say stupid stuff that relates to the NBA to keep the NBA alive. That's it, folks. That's why they have all these channels. That's why they got all these channels. The social media is the only thing keeping this NBA alive. Let's say if it wasn't never any social media and people didn't have channels and the NBA ran like it, continued to be like it was into the 2020s, the NBA would have been over a long time ago, folks. The NBA is basically over, but the only thing that's keeping it alive is social media. Ex-players saying stupid stuff, players that still playing saying stupid stuff. That's about it, folks. ESPN saying stupid stuff, Fox Sports saying stupid stuff. People who work for, ESPN, Fox, Dreamers Pro, pushing this stuff. That's the only thing keeping the NBA alive. The NBA is dead, folks. The viewers spoke. It's over. And they know, especially when LeBron leaves, it's really over. Because these international players they're not bringing that soap opera. They're not American. They're just not. Us Americans cannot relate to the people of, Greece or Serbia or Canada or stuff like that. We can't. There's no knock against their culture. Much love to their culture. But, they're not coming over here trying to, be an American culture. For whatever reason, that's fine. They're supposed to, vibe with their culture. You see what Joker does, right? As soon as the season over, whether he wins the championship or not, he don't even want to parade. He goes back home. He don't want no part of this. Where was Joker at the All-Star game? I think he was in Serbia, right? I'm not sure, but how do you promote your league with an international player like this? He's not even showing up to the All-Star game. But and then again, I don't blame him because they're not even pushing him. They should have been pushing this Joker and Luka Doncic thing a long time ago. That's what they should have been doing. They should have been doing this a long time ago. It don't matter what color they are. It is what it is, folks. You got to have like some type of soap opera. But they know. They already know that the American people do not connect to these people. And again, it's not because of who they are or whatever like that. They're just from a different culture, man. Wemby, can you get with the France culture? No. Can Wemby sell anything to the American people? No, folks. Nobody's interested. He didn't grow up in American culture. They got a whole, I keep trying to tell you guys, these people got a whole different culture. They got a whole different culture. I mean, the NBA did this to themselves. NBA did it to themselves. They should have been promoting Curry a long damn time ago. They should have got Curry more help every year. Even though they got him Durant, they could have kept getting more help, even though he won the championship without Durant. I don't know. They should have pushed LeBron out a long time ago, folks. This guy basically destroyed the NBA. But either way you want it, I can go with both sides. That you do have to have an American face, or it's going to end up like baseball. And we already see what's going on. They've been pushing these international players on us for, since the 2020s. And we don't care. We don't care, folks. We're American. We're American. I mean, how many people watch hockey? Nobody really, because the majority of them faces are not American folks. And that's cool with me. But they're not of the American culture. They can't sell us nothing about here what's going on in America. I'm not going to try to go somewhere and sell some other people some American culture that live in damn Ecuador. They're going to look at me stupid. You know what I'm saying? The situation is what it is. But what I'm trying to say is they could have made it a little bit better. These are the people you're pushing up in the league. And these are the people you've been wanting for all this time. All these international players to come over here and make it a soft, weak league with all this three-point shooting, no defense, and all this stuff. So why not? How come you haven't promoted these people? It's the most ridiculous thing you ever seen. I'm trying to tell you, it's just like baseball, folks. Baseball was my favorite sport. While they were getting rid of all the American players, they were bringing in all these international players, but they was keeping this steroid scandal alive. So you wouldn't even see it. You were like, damn, where's all the American players going? Don't look at that. Look at the steroid scandal. So they gave us that steroid scandal for what, those 5 years, while all the American players was disappearing. But when the smoke cleared and the steroid scandal was over, and we looked at the damn teams, it wasn't nothing but international players who couldn't even speak English. We was like, see you later. See you later. How can you relate to that, folks? And that's what they're doing with the NBA. They're keeping this smoke screen alive with the LeBron James thing. And they have brought in all these international players. You don't think, the top 5 is all. way more than that. But what I'm trying to say is they're using the whole LeBron thing as a smoke screen of what they've been doing. And we don't know if they're going to pull the same thing with baseball to keep the NBA alive. a steroid scandal after LeBron James retired, just to extend it to keep, the NBA talked about. You know what I'm saying? We don't know that. But they might, because once LeBron James leaves, it's over, folks. They have talked about this guy ad nauseum, more than any player I've ever heard in my life. And it's not been based on greatness. Yeah, they've been telling you it's been on greatness, but we ain't seen it. All we saw was failures, hiccups, and the dude quitting and giving up. And then the next year they're talking about it. Happens, quitting, failures, giving up every single damn year. And they seem to talk about this guy every single year. So this is why, folks, once this guy leaves, the league is over. All your top guys are international players. So everybody's going to be like, well, okay, where's the American players? And boom, it's really over then. It's really over then. Because we already see it's over right now. And I keep trying to tell you, it's not just because LeBron James is a ringleader of destroying the NBA. It's because it's for these international players. They're not interesting to us. Come on, man. When you look at an SGA, when you look at a Joker, when you look at an MB, when you look at a Luka, when you look at a Greek Freak, are these the dudes really you're interested in? Like we were interested in, Michael Jordan, Barkley, Malone, these type of guys in the 90s, Gary Payton, all these great guys in the 90s. What about all the great American players in the 80s? Are you interested in them? What about Dominique Wilkins? He's from Canada. And I'm not trying to beat up on international players, because we always had international players in every sport, even baseball. When I'm talking about baseball right now, when I watched baseball in the 90s, the 80s, we had a mix, folks. Blacks, whites, and Spanish players. So it was like a mix. And I think some Canadians too. So it was like a mix. But why sit there and try to like flood it out with just international players? For what? It hasn't proved they're better unless you make the league weak. That's all you do. It didn't pan out that you brought all these international players in baseball and they were better. Nope. The records that black players have still to this day in the major leagues, and white people had an 80-year head start. Those players that had those records, black players, they will never be touched by Spanish players. Never. We can go over some of these records in a whole different damn day. They'll never be touched. They just won't. They're great players, but they won't never be touched. But I'm just saying, we always had a mix in baseball. It was diverse. So why flood all the Americans out? It was, I would say maybe coming into the 80s, it started getting more diverse in the NBA. So why flood all the Americans out? Because international players aren't better. If they're better, put back in the American style of basketball. No, you have to make it their style in order for them to win. That's it, folks. Just like some of these, even American players, just so these American players can look better than what they are. What happens now? You got to play Euro ball. You got to play international ball. So LeBron James can keep playing longer. You got to play Euro ball. And what I'm trying to say is, back in the 90s, back in the 80s, and maybe in the 70s, there were a lot of international players who played basketball in their countries that wanted to come to the NBA, that wanted to get drafted. But guess what? They wasn't good enough. And the ones that did come to the NBA, they were the best of the best international players. Dominique Wilkins, John Stockton, Drazen Petrovic, who else? Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon. It was the best of the best international players. It wasn't just some dudes from some little NBA Africa basketball league. Come on, man. What it sounds like to me is cheap labor. Like I said, I can't believe these NBA players are making this kind of money. Like I said, they'll do the same thing most of them been doing when they retire. They'll go fight for a job, either coaching, on a network, or doing something else after supposedly making hundreds of millions of dollars. But, we won't even get into that. But it is what it is. It's true. What Carmelo Anthony is saying. But on the other hand, we basically got an international league. So this is something you should have been promoting a long time ago, because we've been seeing this for a long time, folks. You got an international league and you put in international rules and change the whole game for these international players. So why haven't you promoted these guys a long time ago as as faces of the league? The NBA is, in the long run, they're screwing themselves. Right? They're screwing themselves. That's all they're doing. I mean, they've been screwing themselves for a long time, but you're going to see how bad this gets, folks. You're going to see how bad this gets. It's going to get really bad that they didn't promote Joker a long time ago. It's going to get bad that they didn't promote Luka Doncic a long time ago. It is. It's going to be so bad. The ratings are going to be MLB ratings, if that. It's going to be horrible. And the fact that LeBron James had been getting destroyed by international plumbers for a long time, whether in the FIBA, the Olympics, Joker destroyed him, Dirk destroyed him. Plumbers is, I don't know where Matt McClung is coming from, Mac, whatever his name is, but him winning, a three-peat and LeBron James, watching LeBron James never partook is ridiculous. So this is basically all the NBA. I keep trying to tell you, the NBA doesn't have any on-court greatness for you, right? They haven't for a while. It's just been all 95% soap opera, drama. That's it, folks. And they really don't have to, because they got social media that's keeping their league alive. So create this soap opera. Just a whole bunch of dumb stuff going on. Dudes ain't even playing real basketball no more. Just create a soap opera. Anthony Edwards say something stupid. LeBron say something stupid. Durant says something stupid. This NBA player says something stupid. This ex-NBA player says something. It's all just a soap opera, folks. It's no longer basketball. It's no longer. It's 95% of a storyline and soap operas. That's it. I don't know what you guys grew up on. I just grew up on greatness on the court. That's all I grew up on. I didn't grow up on nothing else. Yeah, you have storylines, you have soap opera, and you need that to sell your league. But that only needs to be like 20 to 30% of your league. And the rest of it needs to be on-court greatness. That's it. So in the long run, the United States is the United States. It's full of diverse people from other countries. But you can't sit up there and put Americans out of their own sport and expect anybody to watch it. We already got the example. Baseball, right? What do you want? What do you want? But at the same time, all these international players, they already on roads to the top of the league. And it's filled, I would say 50% international players. But nobody's going to watch it, folks. So I don't know when LeBron James is going to retire. 2 years, 1 year, 3 years, but mark my words, once he retires, NBA fans ain't coming back to no international game just because he retires. It's gonna be like baseball. So SGA, Joker, Joel Embiid, Luka, they can put up all the numbers they want, but real NBA fans know there's no competition. They're doing this against no defense, and it's no longer an American sport with American face on it. So we'll be done checked out. Good luck.